With Kevin Owens not being punished over WWE contract reports and Riddle admitting he has heat backstage following his comments regarding Roman Reigns, this is Wrestling Up. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for September 17th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Up and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. With WWE's ratings, especially for Raw, declining over the last few years, AEW star Ricky Starks thinks the company is insulting the intelligence of their audience, as he had this to say on Throwing Down with Renee and Misha. Everyone says AEW is the alternative. I really think it's the first choice now. AEW is great in the fact that I think WWE is such a fan base that they can insult the audience and get away with it. If you watch a TV show, let's say like Lost, I feel like Lost insulted my intelligence halfway through, and I kind of fell out of love with it. AEW is the opposite. You stay attached and you're rewarded for watching so long. Even for people who haven't followed wrestling, there are people on the show that you can connect to because they are authentic personalities. Watching it, there is something for everybody. Having new viewers or someone who is getting back in wrestling, AEW provides that sweet spot where you can watch it, have fun, you won't feel stupid for watching it, and you'll be rewarded. There are great moments that are organic that you can fall in love with. The wrestlers are badass. We have men and women who are badass wrestlers. Authenticity goes a long way in garnering fan support. As the late great Johnny Valentine once said, I can't make them believe that wrestling is real, but I can make them believe I'm real. Before becoming a 16-time world champion, John Cena was another up-and-comer, having the honor of taking on Kurt Angle in his first televised match on SmackDown. Speaking during the Ford to SuperCon, Cena made clear that this match, along with his handshake backstage with The Undertaker, was not supposed to take place. It's surreal and it all happened so fast. It wasn't even supposed to happen. I was thrown in there last minute because they had no other options. It was all like a blur, but I remember I was ready to wrestle Kurt and he brought technically the best out of me and forced me. He tried to run me ragged, but I hung in there with him, and yes, they filmed backstage moments of other superstars shaking hands there because it was genuine. Also, during that previously mentioned convention, Cena touched on WWE selling his recent t-shirt, which was an old copy of a CM Punk design, and how it came as a part of an NFT deal. He would admit that selling these NFT kits was a failure. WWE wanted to put together a once-in-a-lifetime fan experience. This kit is not just this kit, it's the belt, the clothing, an autographed picture, an autographed canvas picture, and an NFT. When it came up with the face value for what it cost, it came up around $500 to $600 retail value, and then threw in the value of the NFT. I talk a lot about failure. This idea failed. Why is it $1,000? Because myself and the folks at WWE thought $1,000 was a fair price point. We were wrong. We were absolutely wrong. This shirt is number 0 of 500. I thought with a value like that, the 500 will be gone. We sold 37 of them. It was a catastrophic failure. I designed all my stuff. I was super proud of this. I love the design. It's one of those instances where I put my heart and soul and did the design and was really close with the work and pieces and market research. Yes, it seems fair. I think it will be good. It sucked. It absolutely failed. I took a chance and missed. I'm sorry because it's obvious that people like the design, but it's way too much. While Chavo Guerrero turned up in AEW to manage Andrade, that partnership did not last, as the former NXT champion dispatched of him. Despite many thinking this was done to have Ric Flair debut as Andrade's manager in the company, the Wrestling Observer newsletter has said the reason for the angle on Rampage where Chavo was turned on by Andrade and then beaten down by Penta and Phoenix, which looked like a character blow-off, is that Chavo works as the wrestling coordinator for the TV show Young Rock, and they're filming the second season of the show now. In an interesting note, the showrunner for Young Rock is the sister of Nick Khan. Following the filming of Young Rock Season 2, Chavo is expected to be back in AEW. After taking a curb stomp from Rollins, Edge is not set to make his return for a while. As WON noted, Edge went out on a stretcher and was taken away in an ambulance. This will explain Edge not being around for a few months. Since Edge only works part-time, it is easy to do injury angles to explain his being gone, but there's also a limit on how many you can do before it feels like you've seen it before. Speaking of Edge, he told Sports Illustrated that he really wants to have a program with Sami Zayn. I would love to share the ring with Sami. There's a key to Sami's success. There is an element of truth to all his promos. As a heel, you have to have that nugget of truth. If you have it, you can push everything else forward, so his promos feel much more real. He's doing incredible work. The crowd just knows to boo this guy. That's to his credit. His promos, his character work, Sami is incredible. With Sami busy trolling fans online about his contract status, Edge will hopefully be back in time to make this match happen. With Bray Wyatt released from WWE in July, he should be free to sign with another promotion in October. Given his former tag team partner Matt Hardy is a part of AEW, many think this is where Wyatt will go, as Matt posted a throwback photo of them in 2018. Bray recently said fans will be seeing him soon, as many are anticipating his arrival for next month. Kevin Owens will reportedly see his WWE deal run out on the 31st of January. Following this bit of news breaking, his segment with Happy Corbin that same week was pulled from the Madison Square Garden show. The Wrestling Observer would note, due to timing issues, both that and a segment involving a second angle with Happy Corbin and Kevin Owens were pulled as the show was going on. Nobody really cared about the latter, but there was a lot of sympathy toward Vega for the former. Kevin Owens had his deal restructured during the pandemic, as many expect him to make his debut in AEW next year. With Matt Riddle previously telling Bleacher Report that Roman Reigns does not move the needle and that he could beat him up in a real fight, he told the International Business Times that those comments did land him in hot water. I'll comment on that briefly. I'm not trying to rub anybody the wrong way or say anything wrong, but I made some comments and I'll say this. I think they were all factual, just so you know. Kind of like I said, I'm kind of telling the truth here, but I think maybe even if they were factual, they weren't the most professional things to say, especially with me being on the Raw brand and him being on SmackDown. I'm not even in that realm of competing with the Tribal Chief. He's on another level at this moment. I think maybe I got a little too big for my britches, you know what I mean? Maybe I got a little backstage heat, maybe a tiny bit. Triple H is in the middle of his recovery following a cardiac procedure. This led to him missing the NXT 2.0 debut as Shawn Michaels was in his place running the show. The Observer would say that everything remains quiet regarding Paul Levesque. We're told that he's in good enough shape that he is taking calls. Talent was told that they can call him and wish him well, but that they are not to talk any WWE business with him. Dark Side of the Ring released their Plane Ride from Hell episode, which led to Ric Flair trending due to his actions on said plane. Tommy Dreamer described the scene of him wearing his robe and nothing underneath, saying he'd move his hips and twirl it, so his well-endowed penis just spins around like a helicopter. He's the nature boy for a reason. He's got a hammer on him. The episode would go on to mention how he had a stewardess backed into a corner and forced her to touch him, with her recalling the story during her interview. Many fans are saying AEW President Tony Khan should not hire Ric Flair, as this could ruin his chances of being booked for the company. Speaking of Tommy Dreamer, he seemed to excuse what Ric Flair did on that plane during his interview for the previously mentioned documentary. According to PW Insider, he has been suspended from Impact. In the email, Impact Wrestling President Nordholm stated that the company was made aware of comments Dreamer made on last night's Start Side of the Ring and they were out of line with our core values as a company. In the episode, Dreamer commented on allegations made about Ric Flair on the infamous Plane Ride from Hell 20 years ago. Nordholm added that Dreamer was asked to leave effective immediately from Nashville, as his time in Impact and possibly future promotions appears to be at an end. In a 2004 interview with PW Torch, Terri Runnels detailed her run-in with Brock Lesnar as the Beast exposed himself to her. Ew. You know what? I'll tell you something because this is something I've never told before, but I'll go ahead and rat on him. I have no respect for him whatsoever. The reason being, and maybe this is because he was young and dumb, we've all had our young and dumb moments. When he was first in the business, I will never forget, we were at a pay-per-view in England, and the girls' dressing room and some other little room were right next door to each other. Dustin was in the other room watching a monitor, and beside Dustin was Brock. He was in the middle. To the right of Brock was Kurt Hennig, and I walked next door to say something to Dustin. I forget what, and Brock was sitting there in a towel, and Brock opened the towel and exposed himself, and boy, was that a little red penis. I've never seen something so red. I didn't know skin could be pink like a mouse. I just didn't understand that could happen, but it was this pink thing. I remember thinking, number one, well, why would you want to show me that? Number two, I remember thinking how disrespectful it was. I carry myself as a lady and have for many years. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.